There's nothing like a good power system that makes you wish more than anything that you had mystical powers. Am I the only one that's frustrated at how brittle we are as human beings? Why can't we fly or have unlimited stamina? Why do we need to breathe? Why are we seemingly on an isolated prison planet alone with no real way of leaving? Well, as of now anyway. So many questions and so much pent-up frustration. Honestly, because I want powers. So let's talk power systems. Anime tends to host the best of the power systems, but there are a few exceptions. I'm only going to go into power systems that I know of myself, so that means no stands from JoJo, no alchemy from Full Metal Alchemist, or any others you may feel I missed, but do please drop them in the comments. The power systems of subject today will be Ki from Dragon Ball, CHAKRA from Naruto, Nen from Hunter x Hunter, REIATSU from Bleach, Bending from Avatar: The Last Airbender, HAKI from One Piece, Energy from Yu Yu Hakusho, the Force from Star Wars, QUIRKS from My Hero Academia, ECTO Energy from Danny Phantom, and Magic from, well, many different avenues. My goodness, that's a lot. I'll be choosing the one I'd ultimately prefer to have and also ranking them as we go on, via tier list. The list will rank from Z to S to A to B. There are no losers on this list, and that's why I'm stopping at B. So please remember that B doesn't mean F as in horrible. It means B for good. And as always, this video and its contents of choice are all my personal opinion. Goody? Let's begin. Starting out plain and simple, we have Ki, translation, spirit. Composed of three parts, Genki, or vigor, Yuki, or courage, and Shoki, or mind, Ki is described as being primarily in the center of the inside of every living thing, and in order to properly use it by overcoming the physical limits of the body, one must grow their Ki through training. Ki is drawn out through charging, which powers the user up and allows for use outside of the body. It's used to enhance strength, speed, endurance, and the overall power of the Ki user. Once Ki has been manifested outside of the body, it can be used for a multitude of techniques, including, but not limited to, plasma in different forms such as beams, blades, and discs, duplication, sensing, harvesting, guarding, transformations, and fusion. In order to properly control one's Ki, their body and spirit must be in sync. The closer the body and the spirit, the greater the control and power output. Ki comes in three primary forms: good, evil, and divine. I'll touch on God Ki later, but good Ki is Ki used by those with no evil intent and usually appears as white aura. There are some techniques that exclusively require good Ki, such as the Spirit Bomb. Evil Ki is Ki used by those with malicious intent and usually manifests as a purple or pink aura. Originally, Ki was well balanced and was based solely off how hard you trained, but when Dragon Ball Z hit, it became genetically based, and certain races no longer stood a chance against superior races. Dragon Ball Super took it even further and brought deities into the fold, rendering not only the lesser mortals, but even higher end mortals almost obsolete, with the introduction of Divine Ki, or God Ki. Now, what is God Ki? Well, it's essentially regular Ki cranked up to 11. However, its position as being far stronger than mortal Ki doesn't mean the right mortal fighter can't overpower the wrong deity. The greatest example being Jiren, and a lesser example being Golden Frieza. Gods of destruction have their own variant that's fueled by their destruction energy and is purple in color. God Ki can also be combined with Evil Ki to make Evil God Ki, as seen with Zamasu and Goku Black. The aura is typically black. Dragon Ball Super has also introduced Angelic Ki, a level beyond Divine Ki, and techniques to boot like Ultra Instinct. In the case of Jiren, his mortal Ki was so far beyond that of the other participants of the Tournament of Power that it took angelic ki and its premier technique, Ultra Instinct, to properly fight him. Ki is reflected by one's battle power or power level. These numbers went out of the window after the Namek saga, but still remain a frame of reference across Dragon Ball and all of anime when it comes to power scaling. And that's about all you need to know about Ki, which I'm going to slide into the B tier. It's a good one, and if you'd asked me years ago, it would be my definitive go-to. But let's go over the others here on the list first before I elaborate further on my final power system of choice.
Chakra is the elemental life energy a ninja uses in jutsu. It's the source of all his power.
Now, chakra is where things branch out from mere simplicity. Chakra, from Naruto, is the result of one's physical and spiritual energies coming together. Every cell in your body contributes physically, and your conscious contributes spiritually. Both of these thresholds can be trained to increase the power of one's chakra. Similar to our own cardiovascular system, the chakra pathway system circulates chakra throughout the body as one's organs manipulate it accordingly. While everyone has chakra due to its origin, which I'll touch on later, such groups as shinobi have worked to produce enough chakra to release from their body's pressure points, officially known as tenketsu. Tenketsu also act as restrictions to keep one from dying, for if one's chakra reaches 0, they die. There's a forbidden technique called 8 gates release that allows for greater chakra output at the cost of one's health. If all 8 gates are open, the user will be the toughest customer around, but after their chakra reaches 0, they're done for. Chakra is only visible when it's highly concentrated or manifested in large amounts, as seen with the Rasengan or the 8 gates technique. Once enough chakra is produced and one manages to emit it from their pressure points, jutsu can be performed. To best manipulate chakra outside of the body, one would use hand signs. Through the use of hand signs, one can perform ninjutsu and genjutsu. Ninjutsu, the broadest of the 3 main jutsu types, encompasses most abilities ranging from nature transformation to space-time manipulation to sealing techniques and more. Genjutsu has to do with the manipulation of the chakra present in the brain. One can influence the 5 senses of the target to many degrees, though it's worth noting that the effects of genjutsu aren't real, no matter how under the influence a target may be. The third type of jutsu is taijutsu, which is essentially hand-to-hand combat. Just as was the case with Dragon Ball Z, Naruto also has genetic advantages for the select clans and individuals. Naruto, as a franchise, makes this clear from the jump with the Uchiha and Hyuga clans, 2 clans that possess specific Kekkei Genkai dojutsu known as the Sharingan and the Byakugan, respectively. Now, how CHAKRA differs from Ki is that it isn't about how much you have, but how efficient you are in its use. Naruto may have stockpiles of chakra, but Kakashi could very well still beat him, well, at least earlier in the series. There are different variants of chakra as seen in Tailed Beast, Senjutsu, and 6-Path Chakra. Tailed Beasts were created from the fission of the 10 tails to create 9 separate Tailed Beasts, all with massive reserves of chakra. Senjutsu is the combination of one's own chakra with natural energy, gifting the sage a new dimension of power they otherwise could never attain. 6-Path Chakra, I'm going to classify under 2 beacons, Hagoromo and Hamura. Hagoromo's chakra grants one access to the Rinnegan, which is the further evolution of the Sharingan, along with a dramatic increase in all of the user's jutsu. Hagoromo's chakra can only be attained by combining the DNA of his 2 sons, Asura and Indra, or by becoming the Jinchuriki of the 10 tails. Hamura's chakra grants one access to the Tensaigan, which is the further evolution of the Byakugan, along with a similar boost in one's chakra and jutsu capability. There are 5 main elemental nature transformations of chakra: fire, water, wind, air, and lightning. These 5 nature transformations act as a wheel of balance, with each element acting as a counter to another. For example, wind snuffs out lightning, but wind makes fire stronger. Beyond these are more advanced affinities in which one can combine 2 or more elements, though this is rare and very difficult. To determine one's nature affinity, there is the paper test, in which you infuse your chakra into specialized paper, and depending on what happens to the paper, your affinity is revealed. Now, about the origin. Long story short, an alien race called the Otsutsuki came to Earth long ago, planted the god tree, and ate of it. Kaguya, the alien who ate of the tree, would birth two sons that were half Otsutsuki and half human. Her sons, Hagoromo and Hamura, would pass on chakra to humanity. Now, my verdict. I've been in love with chakra since I first got into Naruto. The more I learned, the more compelled by it that I became, the higher it shot up my list. It has but one knock to it, and that's the genetic bias. There's no guarantee you'll be born into an elite clan, much less with the chakra capacity to become a ninja. Beyond that, so many different and cool abilities are exclusive and can't be worked toward achieving. It's a well-structured and elaborate system, but it's far too biased, and for that, it's going to be a B, right there with Ki. And now for what may be the most complex of them all, Nen, translation sense or mind force. Nen is considered to be such a game changer in the world of Hunter x Hunter that it's kept secret among the masses to maintain balance and order in the world. Before one can even hope to use Nen, they must experience an awakening by which their aura nodes are open, and then learn to control their aura nodes. Typically, this takes time, but there is the option of initiation by which one's aura nodes can be forced open by another user, as seen with Mr. Wing, Gon, and Killua. While progression and potential do matter in progressing one's Nen, Hunter x Hunter makes it clear in every battle that these factors won't win you the day. It's about who's more experienced and efficient in battle. Non-Nen users can even beat Nen users. Now on to aura itself. It is a direct reflection of one's emotions, desires, and personality. To master one's mental state and emotions is to be one step closer to mastering Nen as a whole. The 4 exercises of Nen are as follows. 10. Focus the mind, self-reflect, and determine your goal. Zetsu. Put it all into words. Ren. Intensify your will. Hatsu. Put it into action. The English translations respectively are point, tongue, temper, and release. Beyond the mental purpose, the 4 exercises have specific purposes in an execution. 10 is the process of keeping one's aura nodes open while ensuring aura flows through and around the body as opposed to flowing away from the body. It is the defensive dimension of Nen. Zetsu is to restrict one's aura from leaking from their body altogether. This is how one hides their presence. Ren is to amplify one's aura, making one stronger, more durable, and providing a larger pool of aura for advanced techniques. This is the offensive dimension of Nen. Hatsu is the projection and expression of one's Nen, producing a paranormal ability of some sort depending on the user's latent Nen category. There are advanced techniques like Gyo and Shu, but I won't go that far into detail this time. The 6 categories a Nen user can fall under are that of Enhancer, Transmuter, Emitter, Conjurer, Manipulator, and Specialist. Enhancers strengthen themselves or other objects. Transmuters change their aura quality to that of something else. Emitters detach aura from their own body. Conjurers create objects from their aura. Manipulators control animate or inanimate objects. Specialists are unique in their own right in that they have abilities that can't be classified under the other 5. One's Nen category is determined by the water divination test, and depending on what happens to the water, your category is revealed. Hisoka's personality test is another unrefined way of learning one's Nen category. One's category also determines their chances of learning another category, with specialists having the best chance with all other categories. It's also possible for one to develop a specialist ability later in life. There's also subcategories, post-mortem Nen, and contracts, but I won't be detailing any further. I recommend you watch Hunter x Hunter to experience this great world all for yourself. If it isn't clear already by how well detailed this system is, just know it's going into my Z tier. Any and everyone has the chance to be the best of the best in this system. It's consistent, it's balanced, and it's exclusive. Nen feels like the culmination of all other power systems before it, but specifically like a reimagined and perfected energy from Hunter x Hunter's predecessor, Yu Yu Hakusho, which I will get to.
返事が聞こえないぞ。グリムジョー・ジャガー・ジャック。
There are three terms we'll need to understand how power works in Bleach. REIATSU, or spiritual pressure, is the physical force of one's spiritual power. Reiryoku, or spiritual power, is the power aligned with one's spiritual sensitivity and willpower. Reikaku, or spiritual sense, is the means by which one picks up on spiritual pressure. It is very possible for one to possess a greater Reiatsu than someone else who has a greater Reiryoku. This is done by achieving greater control over one's spiritual energy. When one releases their Reiatsu, it eventually returns to them. Spiritual pressure is released from vents located on the wrists. If these vents are ever closed off, one's own Reiatsu will destroy them from the inside out. Spiritual pressure can be used as a defensive measure of hardening one's skin to defend against attacks or repelling attacks entirely. One can instill fear, forcibly stun, paralyze, and stimulate pain on others with the lone use of their spiritual pressure if they have such an advantage, as has been seen with Sasuke Aizen. On the offensive end, if one is strong enough, Reiatsu can cause actual physical damage, and if one is vastly far ahead of any others around them, they can reduce them to ash with their mere presence. Holy shit! One can channel their spiritual pressure through their blade as well. Speaking of blades, Zanpakutos are another layer of Bleach's verse. I won't go too much into them, but know this. They're the most important weapon in all of Bleach, and they have three forms. Base form, Shikai, and Bankai. Sorry, I had to. As for types of Reiatsu, there's the standard, dual, and element types. The standard type is seen across the roster, from Shinigami to Hollows to Quincy to humans to Fullbringers. Wizards and Arrancar have the dual type, due to their simultaneous being as Shinigami and Hollows. Wizards feel more like Shinigami while Arrancar feel more like Hollows. When Wizards unleash their power, they feel more like Hollows. When Arrancar enter their Resurrection forms, they seal their Hollow abilities and become as close to their original forms as they can. In other words, they'll feel more like Shinigami. The last type is Elemental, in which one's Reiatsu emits in the form of, say, fire or ice. We've only seen the Elemental type from Captain Commander Yamamoto and Captain Hitsugaya. Reiatsu comes in a multitude of colors with no specific color-coded meaning. The first step toward winning a battle in Bleach is to have the greater spiritual pressure, and that's why I've chosen to focus on that in this analysis. Honestly, Bleach's scope of power will need a video of its own detailing its different facets and dimensions. As for my verdict, knowing all I know as I finish the series and the manga, I'm going to say this would be a brilliant choice. While Ichigo is the ultimate outlier in this verse in ways I won't spoil, the rest of the roster don't fare too bad themselves. Shinigami, Quincy, Arrancar, Fullbringers, and the rest of the lot can hold their own pretty well. That being said, being one who has the abilities of them all isn't something that's possible without divine intervention. And I've made it clear that I would prefer to maximize my own ability in the power system I choose. This system is clear-cut, efficient, and manages to overcome the genetic barrier the series imposes by maintaining balance amongst the powers outside of its lone anomaly, just as Avatar: The Last Airbender does with its system. Reiatsu, or spiritual pressure, Reishi, whatever you want to call it, whatever the actual power system goes by in Bleach, is quite the complexity and is going into my A category. Tite Kubo blessed us with a real gem.
The water flows through this creek, much like the energy flows through your body. As you see, there are several pools where the water swirls around before flowing on. These pools are like our chakras.
Quite simply, bending is the manipulation of the elements through the use of one's inner chi flow. There are 5 main bending arts: water, earth, fire, air, and energy. The 4 elemental categories are mostly bended by the physical motion of the hands and feet, though there are users who may be able to bend with limited movement with the use of supreme focus and concentration. Energy bending requires minimal to no physical motion for use and, unlike the other 4, is the manipulation of chi itself. It can be used to grant or remove bending ability. Only the Avatar, the chosen bender of sorts meant to maintain balance amongst the great nations, can bend all 5 categories. No one else can bend even more than one element, and energy bending is exclusive to the Avatar. The 4 nature elements can be advanced into sub-skills: flight and spiritual projection for air, healing and blood bending for water, seismic sense, metal bending and lava bending for earth, combustion bending, blue fire, and lightning for fire. Though I've chosen to designate avatar as bending, perhaps it should be known as chi. Chi is the metaphysical energy that flows through the body and allows for bending and other skills. While bending may not be accessible by all, the use of chi is. Those who master their chi can sense, block, and extract it. To master chi is to be closer to accessing the more powerful and advanced sub-skills within one's natural element. For the avatar, it is to be, truthfully, on another plane. So bending, or chi rather, is a well-rounded and balanced power system. The 4 elements are all able to counter one another, and the only advantage in this verse belongs to the avatar, someone guaranteed to wield their power for good. Considering I'm far from guaranteed to be the avatar if I choose this power system, and being the avatar is the only way to utilize all power in this verse, it loses some points for me. Not enough though, because it's still getting an A, well-balanced, thought out, and efficient with minimal genetic bias.
Observation and armament. They're the 2 main types of HAKI. However, there are some people in this world who can use another type of HAKI.
HAKI, translation ambition, is the result of one manifesting their willpower. More specifically, it's the use of one's own spiritual energy. Everyone in the world of One Piece is capable of awakening and using HAKI, though most fail to even discover its existence. HAKI can be used to sense others, predict actions, provide a protective coating of spiritual energy, and even overpower the willpower of others, though this is extremely rare of an ability. There are 3 types of HAKI. Kinbun Shoko, which I'll be calling observation HAKI, grants a 6th sense of sorts that allows for the sensing of presence, strength, and emotions. It also grants a precognitive sense, limited for base users, and advanced enough for masters to allow seeing a short period into the future. Buso Shoku, which I'll address as armament HAKI, allows users to coat themselves in HAKI for offensive and defensive means and aids a good deal in fighting foes who otherwise would be difficult to harm with pure physical attacks. Armament HAKI can even be extended to weapons. Advanced users can emit their armament HAKI without a medium, and the most advanced of users can force their armament HAKI into the bodies of others to kill them from the inside out. Lastly, we have Haoshoku HAKI, which I'll refer to as Conqueror's HAKI. It grants the ability to overpower the will of others. Plain and simple. It can't be trained to achieve, and you must be born with it to use it. Only 1 in several million people are born with the ability to use Conqueror's HAKI. So if you got it, you got it. Like the Jordan gene or the Mamba mentality. HAKI users tend to focus on the use of one of these 3 types, but one can train to master more than one. It'll just take you many years of tireless hard work to achieve mastery, and that's a good thing. Hard work will beat talent in One Piece when talent doesn't work hard, and that's what we like to see as viewers in any medium. HAKI was so close to being the outlier here, so close to being the one that didn't have any advantages for certain individuals. But Conqueror's HAKI ended those dreams. Still, it's well balanced and interesting enough to warrant an A from me. It's an A and not an S or even a Z, because Conqueror's HAKI is basically an I win button, rare as it may be.
You must jointly use the energy of the spirit and the body, with each feeding the other, to overcome this obstacle and move your little rear.
All right already, you had me at shut up.
To clarify off the bat, Yu Yu Hakusho has different layers to energy. There's spirit energy, life energy, demon energy, and sacred energy. Spirit energy is possessed by all humans and is as varied among individuals as fingerprints are. It can be used to heal, enhance overall strength, and even form weapons. It's based in emotion, so to truly master it, you must embrace and know your feelings. Life energy is just what it sounds like. It's the last resort, the reserves, if you will. If someone's using this, they're approaching death. Speaking of which, if it reaches 0, you die. It can be transferred and received from being to being. What I'm getting at is, it's the ultimate wild card. It can make or break a fight. Demon energy is similar to spirit energy, but it's a good deal more potent due to demons naturally possessing more energy than humans. It's described as providing more of a pleasurable sensation than spirit energy does. Intense emotions can further power demon energy, and it can be used to heal just as spirit energy can. Sacred energy is the evolution of spirit energy, the next level, if you will. Its abilities are the same, but only S-class individuals have harnessed sacred energy. Yusuke, the protagonist, seems to be an outlier of sorts in the series. He manages to combine his spirit energy with his demon energy, birthing what may or may not be his own unique energy. The source material states, however, that it is simply his own form of sacred energy. Knowing what I know now across both works from mangaka Yoshihiro Togashi, it's clear this one was a predecessor of sorts towards developing the perfect power system. Even so, it's stellar in its own right, and I'm putting it in the B tier, which is certainly no knock on its merit.
The Force? The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together.
The Force is the result of Star Wars creator George Lucas's research into many different religious studies. It exists in two forms, the living force and the cosmic force. The living force represents the energy of all life forms, and the cosmic force is what binds the galaxies together through midichlorians. Though the force resides in all living things, only certain individuals are force sensitive. There's the light side and the dark side. The light is balance, the dark is imbalance. Some abilities are universal to all force users, such as pull and push, but other abilities like Sith Lightning and Force Choke are exclusive dark side abilities. The light is mostly practiced by the Jedi, who harness the Force through peace and a calm state. The dark is mostly practiced by the Sith, who harness the Force through anger, hatred, and their passion for strength. There are way too many Force powers to name, so I recommend you give it a look yourself to see the many different abilities across both canon and legends. They can range from Tutor Menace to manipulating life forces to opening black holes. Depends on how you look at it all. In the original trilogy, the Force was conveyed as being something anyone could use, but the prequels wrote this away with midichlorians. So even if this is my power of choice, would I ever be as powerful as Anakin, Luke, or Starkiller? Probably not, due to the limits imposed on me. That's a huge markdown, but I would still work to master every Force power I could while remaining on the light. To embrace the dark side is to throw everything away and allow oneself to be consumed. I'll pass on that. The Force is simple, consistent, and balanced enough to secure an S on my tier list.
事の始まりは中国慶慶市。発光する赤子が生まれたというニュースだった。
Superpowers have become a staple in pop culture around the world. While the Western world holds the MasterCard and key, the Eastern world has ventured in with its own take, as seen in My Hero Academia with quirks. Quirks are just as versatile and various as superpowers, with no two individuals having the same exact powers. Though some may be under the same category, quirks differ from superpowers in that there are a good deal more rules and structures surrounding them, whereas Western comic superpowers are an open field. You may be strong, fast, or you may wield an element or two. Either you're born with them or you're not. There are 3 quirk types: emission, transformation, and mutation. Anything that doesn't fit under these 3 belongs to a subtype. For example, accumulation is a subtype that hosts quirks like One for All. One for All allows its user to stockpile power in their body and also transfer their quirk to an individual of their choice. One doesn't have control over what quirk they're born with, if they're born with one to begin with. Quirks are manifested somewhere around the individual's 4th year of life, and it's possible for an awakening to occur in which the user's quirk evolves to have more powers and abilities, as seen with Himiko's quirk evolving from solely disguising herself as others to also duplicating their powers. Quirks are treated as being as latent to biology as one's stamina or natural strength are. In other words, they're as essential to them as, say, one of our senses are to us in the real world. You can train a quirk to make it stronger and even wear your quirk out by overusing it. This one is pretty high on my list and is in contention for taking the whole shebang due to its incredible versatility, ability-wise at least. I'm going to put it in the S category solely because I may end up being born without a power, or even worse, born with a useless quirk.
Look inside of it. There was a great big flash, everything just changed. His molecules got all rearranged.
Danny Phantom is incredibly underrated, both as a combatant and as a show. I'm surprised it never got anything else. ECTO energy, or ghost energy, is as the same as any other energy source we have in our world, like electricity. It is the essence of which ghosts are made of, in which they draw their powers. Ghost energy can also assume the form of other energy types, like electricity or fire. There are two types of ecto energy: natural ghost energy native to ghosts, and man-made ecto energy used for anti-ghost weaponry. Aura and eye colors are a bit inconsistent, ranging from blue to green to pink to red to electric. There are also items that can be controlled via ghost energy due to their own increased concentration of ecto energy. There are whole and half ghosts. Most whole ghosts reside in the ghost zone. Half-breeds have all the same powers as whole ghosts. Powers include, but aren't limited to, transforming from human to ghost for half-breeds, intangibility, invisibility, flight, overshadowing, duplication, interstellar travel, and teleportation. That list pales in comparison to everything that Ghost, or at least Danny, can do. Seriously, look it up for yourself to see how broken Ghost abilities are in this verse. So, Ghost energy is pretty simple. Because ecto energy is exclusive to Ghost, you will become a human Ghost hybrid, like Danny or Vlad if you choose this power. It's pretty broken actually, without any clear limits on growth and mastery, something I personally find fascinating. Anti-ghost weaponry is going to be a thorn in your side, however. Imagine being an all-powerful ghost, but the Ghostbusters could put you down at any time they please. As for the ranking, this system is short and to the point, lots of power with only one real weakness in anti-ghost weaponry. The best part? Anyone can become a ghost with the right conditions to be met, as we saw with Danny in his parents' lab. Ecto Energy gets an A from TCJ.
Wingardium Leviosa.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Magic appears across many mediums. There's the Fairly Odd Parents, Wizards of Waverly Place, Black Clover, Lord of the Rings, Fairy Tale, Game of Thrones, and many more. For this discussion, I'll go with the most popular and understood variant of magic in pop culture, the version from Harry Potter. Magic in Harry Potter is a supernatural force that changes the world at a fundamental level. It's hereditary, creating a split in humanity. You have wizards and witches on one side, and muggles, or non-magic users, on the other. In the modern day, muggles are unaware of the existence of magic as per the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy. One of the cool things about the magic in this verse is how it actually follows the laws of science. What I'm saying is that rather than being a mystical force that defies such laws, it works in conjunction with them and exploits them in ways that Muggle science never could. That's a really interesting and innovative concept. While humans have their own brand of magic, the same is true for other magical beings like fairies, goblins, and elves. Spells are short bursts of magic that accomplish the goal of the caster. They require an incantation, verbal or not, depending on the mastery of the user, in the form of modified Latin to cast, and come in 7 categories: transfiguration, a charm, a jinx, a hex, a curse, a counterspell, and a healing spell. Speaking of the number 7, its significance in Harry Potter isn't to be overlooked. The number appears across the history of the wizarding world and is the strongest number in all of magic. Voldemort has 7 Horcruxes. Students go to Hogwarts for 7 years. Many of the characters' names have either 7 letters or 7 total syllables. There are 7 players on a Quidditch team, and it goes on and on and on. It, like many other things on this list now, deserves a video of its own. I'm not sure if they're officially a category of their own, but the 3 unforgivable curses are worth mentioning. There's the Killing Curse, or Avada Kedavra, the Cruciatus Curse, or Crucio, and the Imperius Curse, or Imperio. Oh, and when were these curses deemed to be unforgivable, you may ask? 17. Yep, 7 again. Magic is best performed and honed through the use of one's own wand. Using another's wand makes your spells weaker. Magic can be practiced without a wand, but it will be unfocused and uncontrolled. At the end of the day, wands and incantations are aids to one's will, meant to strengthen the focus of one's magical output. There are limits to magic, regardless of your skill level. Conjuring specific things is harder than conjuring up something generic, and all conjured items will never be as real as the real thing. Immortality is impossible. One can prolong their life, but not forever. Reviving the dead is also impossible, though one can speak to the dead if they possess the resurrection stone. Now, there's a lot to go over when it comes to Harry Potter's magic, far too much to cover in this section of the video. I haven't even touched on potions, animaguses, the different branches of magic, the dark arts, and the power of love. And that's not even everything I missed. I gotta wrap magic up, so know this off the bat. It's going in my Z tier. I don't know how she did it, but J.K. Rowling really put something special together here that manages to maintain its truth to traditional magic while becoming its own unique form of a magical system. The limits are reasonable, the world is consistent, and it's fair game for anyone to get to the top. Harry Potter may be the chosen one of sorts, but that's only because of his specific circumstances with Lord Voldemort. This is a brilliant and exhilarating power system that has me, quite frankly, by the balls. Research was well worth it. And there's the rankings. But how about which is best? Now, what do I mean by best? Well, versatility, rules, power level, freedom to choose, and efficiency. That being said, Nen might just take the cake for how unique and open-ended it is. We don't even know everything about it yet due to the series being on hiatus, but from what we've been given, it's in a league of its own. Once you know your classification type, you're free to manifest your Hatsu as you please, and you even have a chance to develop a specialist ability later in life. With the way that Hunter x Hunter works, you can also beat a greater opponent if you play your cards correctly. To paraphrase Bisky, a B-class opponent can beat an A-class opponent if the B player is at their best and the A player is at their worst. No two people have the exact same abilities or powers in Hunter x Hunter, meaning you'll stand out. For all we know, there are no limits to the strength level one can reach with the mastering of Nen. Contracts act as multipliers, connecting one's resolve and emotional mastery to the strength of their Nen. It may not have all of the raw strength of Ki and HAKI, the elemental versatility of CHAKRA and bending, the dimensional advantages of REIATSU and ECTO energy, the mysticism of the Force and magic, or the simplicity of superpowers and quirks, but it does have a slice from them all, and that's what makes it king for me. And I know I didn't mention energy from Yu Yu Hakusho, for the reason that I see Hunter x Hunter's power system as the evolution of and honing of what Togashi birthed in Yu Yu Hakusho. Nen is the lore and narrative mastery of energy, and I must applaud Togashi for his dedication to his craft. Well, what do you think? What's the best power system across fiction? Did I forget any main players you feel should have made the cut? Did I undercut any of the main players listed in the video? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.